Hello and welcome back to Alice Talks Football and welcome back to another Manchester United live show. Man United therapy yet again. This must be the fifth post-match therapy live we've had the day after a match. Must be the fifth, must be about the 20th, post-match therapy live we've had, because I tell you what, Man United, it's bad. Look, I apologise that I look like a massive ghost today. I'm sort of looking like Man United's recent performances. I'm absolutely knackered, but we've got a big show to dive into. We've got reports about a new manager coming in, Ten Hag being sacked. Some interesting information about Ten Hag won't be sacked until Ineos is in place, but Ineos have been looking at new managers. Graham Potter particularly one ahead of that. We've got some interesting reports about what Ineos plans are when they'll come in and Ten Hag's future. We've got a few other managerial candidates being looked at. It's sort of looking like it is the beginning of the end for Ten Hag. I'm saying, look, give the manager to the end of the season. I think, if we continuously sack managers every 2 years and we don't change the players, we don't change the structure, then we're never going to be a big club again. As bad as Ten Hag's tactics have been today, and while we can be very critical of Ten Hag's man management, I still think we're in a situation where things need to be, other people need to go before the manager, and then maybe the manager goes with them after. But we will discuss that later in today's show, but also some reports on Rasmus Hojlund being a problem, this and that. And I think Rasmus Hojlund's becoming a scapegoat by idiots. So I'm going to have a bit of rant about that, because I think Rasmus Hojlund's a great player that is getting no help. And I think people that are hating on Rasmus Hojlund are absolute idiots. Guys, let me know if you are Ten Hag in or Ten Hag out in the chat. Look, I'm going to be critical of Ten Hag, but I'm Ten Hag in. I said this, and I'll say this for the 100th time. I said at the start of the season, I will not turn on Ten Hag this season, no matter how bad things get. I will be manager until the end of the season, because I'm fed up of sacking managers every 2 years, and I'm going to stick with that. But I am very critical of Ten Hag. I understand why people want Ten Hag out, but I just think that's the short-term solution. Sack the manager, we'll be back in this place in 2 years under the next manager. If Pep Guardiola was on the market and said he wanted to come to United, that's the only case I would become Ten Hag out this season. If Pep Guardiola was going to come in, then I would be Ten Hag out this season. But I just said I'll assess how I feel at the end of the season. And if come summer, I don't see any progress, any improvement, then I'll be Ten Hag out in the summer. But I want to see changes to the structure. I want to see some of these dreadful players gone before the manager, and I've sort of been very strong in that, but I've got to be critical of Ten Hag, because I tell you this now, the fact that Varane hasn't played for 6 weeks, why? Look how good he was. The fact that he was then playing Varane left centre-back, but kept talking about passing angles when you could have played Johnny Evans left centre-back and Varane right centre-back. The fact that he did multiple things, I just thought, there's a lot of things that Ten Hag has done that I just think, I can't get behind. The football was abysmal. We said that we played well and didn't deserve to lose. We didn't deserve to win. Bayern didn't show up, so maybe we didn't deserve to lose, but we didn't deserve to win versus Bayern Munich. I think the poor tactics, the McTominay obsession as well. So yeah. Look, we're gonna really dive into the news. We're gonna dive into the information. There's quite a mix of Ten Hag in, Ten Hag out. I think we're in a place where a lot of people like me are very frustrated with Ten Hag's tactics, and we almost feel like Ten Hag's inevitably going to get himself sacked unless he makes some big changes, which he doesn't seem to want to make. But I think a lot of us are saying we've got so many big problems at United that it can't just be let's sack a manager as soon as the going gets tough again. I think a lot of us are frustrated with Ten Hag, but we just don't want this manager being sacked again because we've already sacked so many managers. I get that is the general feel. There's frustration with the manager, but we've sacked so many managers that we want the players gone. We want some actual changes happening as well. Nothing's going to change if they sack Ten Hag, and that's the thing. We can sack Ten Hag, and we'll bring in an interim to the end of the season, and the players can strop, and that you write the season off. You sack Ten Hag, you get a new manager in, the new manager's in the sack position in 2 years' time. What you've got to do is you've got to get rid of loads and loads of players in 2024. You've got to completely change the board, the structure, the recruitment team, and then you have a good summer, and then you kind of assess where Ten Hag is this time next year, because Arteta came 8th, 5th. He was allowed the time. Klopp came 8th, 4th. He was allowed the time. Ten Hag, he came 3rd in his first season because he's regressed this season. He's not allowed the time. I actually get And why people are Ten Hag out, because when you look at these tactics, it's nothing. The attack is so disjointed. You look at the movement of the ball, the tactic, the structures of United, we seem so inept compared to other teams. We seem so like we don't even know the basics that our managers should coach, unlike other teams. And I get there's a lot of frustration with Ten Hag because of that, because there's so many things that United aren't doing that needs to be coached, and Ten Hag's not coaching that. But I'm still in this position of get rid of the players, change the board, and then we assess Ten Hag. Because if we look at sort of the options to replace Ten Hag with here, Zidane, he's not going to come. He's just going to tell us to F off and block our number. Graham Potter, who, look, I think is a better manager than he gets credit for. He wasn't given the time at Chelsea to succeed. I don't think anyone would have succeeded at Chelsea side. But Graham Potter's a manager that played good football at Brighton, but goes to a big team and crumbles. Man United pressure is Man United is Chelsea. Man United is Chelsea, but with less money. So Chelsea is a bad environment, but at least you get the money. At Man United, it's Chelsea with less money. Roberto De Zerbi, who's struggling at Brighton at the moment, and Lopetegui, who left Wolves because he wasn't being backed. So Lopetegui's going to hate United because he's not going to get the back in. De Zerbi's struggling and might struggle at a big club. Potter struggled at a big club, and Zidane doesn't want us. So you look at those options to be United's next manager, and you think, well, to be honest, it's between Potter, De Zerbi, and Lopetegui, all of which might struggle at a big club. Lopetegui had a hissy because he wasn't back properly at Wolves. It's so many things as well. People say I support Ten Hag, but if you sat to want Unai Emery, Unai Emery's football isn't the most exciting. He struggled at Arsenal. You've got to remember that as well. I mean, look, best case scenario is Pep Guardiola keeps losing and Man City sat Pep, and Pep becomes available on the market and he decides he wants to come to United, because he always complains about City's fan base being too small, begging people to come to games, how he didn't get to meet Julia Roberts. You get that at United. Pep, forget Man City. You've won everything there. Forget it. If you join United, you'll get to meet Julia Roberts. So if I'm Pep Guardiola, leave Man City, leave the freedom, leave the perfectly nice structure and working environment, and come to this shambles, because you know what? You can meet Julia Roberts. Best case scenario is Pep's available on the market. He wants to come to United. And that's when the board decide they've had enough of Ten Hag. Worst case scenario is Ten Hag gets sacked. We get an awful interim to the end of the season, and then we go and get Lopetegui, who then will have a hissy, want to leave United because he won't get back like he did at Wolves. That's the situation. We'll probably get Darren Fletcher. I mean, a few people have spoken about us getting Kieran McKenna, who's doing a great job at Ipswich, no doubt in my mind. But to go from a championship club to Manchester United to step up, to go to a championship club to managing Brighton, fairs. To go from a championship club to managing Fulham, fairs. But to go from a championship club to managing Manchester United, that is a big jump. And remember, these players wanted Kieran McKenna gone. So a lot of people saying, why don't we get Kieran McKenna? These players booted Kieran McKenna out of the club. They called him an academy coach. They said he's not experienced enough to coach this side. Well, look what he's done. He's been at Ipswich 2 seasons, got them promoted, is going to get the back-to-back promotions, and they're top of the championship, playing great football, scored the most goals. But again, that was another one of the coaches that they wanted out. The players wanted Van Gaal out. It was boring. They wanted Mourinho out because they didn't like him. Ollie, who's the opposite of Mourinho, was too nice. They wanted him out because his tactics weren't good enough. They wanted Ragnick out because he called them out for being shit. And now they want Ten Hag out, and they wanted people like McKenna out. And they want everyone out. We could have Pep Guardiola in, and I guarantee you there'd be about 5 Man United players that think that Pep Guardiola probably isn't experienced enough to coach them and is clueless. Whereas the egos on some of our players to think Ollie's clueless, Ragnick's clueless, Ten Hag's clueless, McKenna's clueless, and Mourinho's clueless. There's some players that probably think they're too good to be coached by Pep Guardiola at United. There's big egos, there's big problems at United. And if you look at the managers linked to United, they're not the most interesting names, because everyone goes, Zinedine Zidane. He does not want to come to United. He doesn't even speak English, I'm pretty sure, either. 61 likes, guys, so keep smashing the like button as well. Potter, no way. I mean, I think Potter's the best out of our options. Do you know who I think is the best out of our options? Is Ruben Anarim, however you say his name, sporting manager, but he plays 3 at the back. We don't have the structural setup for 3 at the back, so you can replace Ten Hag, but the best manager available plays 3 at the back. There's Tuchel as well, but I don't think Tuchel's buy-in is that convincing. He's just at Bayern Munich. Xavi Alonso won't want to come to United. Hansi Flick, maybe. You look at it and you say your best option right now is probably Flick, if you're being realistic. And to be honest, there's not many good realistic options to come to United right now and replace Ten Hag with, which I think a lot of people just seem to forget as well. Giggs is still there. He never lost one game as an interim manager. Yeah, but I don't think Giggs coming back to United is going to go down well, especially with his recent reputation and allegations as well. We've had enough of that at that club with Anthony and Greenwood. But I want to get into the Athletic's report about sacking Ten Hag. So the Athletic actually said some interesting things regarding the future of Ten Hag as well. So the Athletic said this: ever since the club's American owners, the Glazer family announced a strategic review in November last year, and Man United have been in a state of flux since. They said Ratcliffe is the founders of Ineos, and they've agreed a deal to buy a 25% stake in United, which is expected to see Ratcliffe take control of football operations, but he's just waiting for his purchase to be signed off by the 6 Glazer siblings. Again, I have this theory that they're deliberately delaying the sign-off of Ratcliffe's deal, so they've got an excuse not to spend in January. Just my gut feeling, to be honest. In normal times, key decisions around the manager's future would have been signed off by Joel Glazer, the executive co-chairman, implemented by top-level staff on the ground in Manchester. Yet with Ratcliffe and his Ineos team, which includes Sir Dales Brailsford waiting in the wings, there is a power vacuum. Richard Arnold, the club's chief executive, has recently been replaced by Patrick Stewart, who is here on an interim basis. So as an interim, he's not going to decide to sack any manager, even if he's an interim, it's very unlikely. So the Athletic have come out and said, essentially, because of this Ineos situation, there's a power shift at United, because Ratcliffe and Brailsford are waiting to take sporting control, and because they've only got an interim CEO in, they're not going to make a decision on the manager's future. The interim won't want to make a decision on the manager's future. And essentially, Ten Hag is safe. Even if we lose 9-0 to Liverpool, they're essentially saying Ten Hag is safe until Ineos come in. But, this is the but, when Ineos come in, there's a likelihood that they will go for someone like Graham Potter. There's a likelihood when Ineos come in, if they don't see any progress in the next couple of weeks, they will sack Ten Hag. So while Ten Hag could be safe for the next month, while Ten Hag could be safe for the next 2 months, the feeling and the reports coming in is that when Ineos come in, he's no longer safe. So there's a feeling that Ten Hag may inevitably be sacked in February. No matter what happens, there's a feeling he could be sacked in February. He won't be sacked in December, but they're saying there's a strong feeling that he could be sacked in February when Ineos have that sort of a meeting. And Paddy, who gets a few bits of information, also said this. He said, I don't expect a managerial change to happen before Ineos is confirmed and ratified. It was believed that Ten Hag would be given until the summer to prove his worth to Ineos, but with results and more importantly performances, it's hard to imagine that they in power right now, Ten Hag would be in the job, which is what was said. It was said that a few times now Graham Potter has been mentioned as one of the managers that Ineos are seriously considering. He fits the criteria of a coach that the club will want going forward. It is likely that the summer, due to Chelsea's payoff structure, they would get him in and likely go to an interim if Ten Hag is sacked during the season. It was said Manchester United could have an interim manager, then followed by another interim manager, before going for someone like Potter as well, just to save money, essentially, is what they're saying, in fact. And yeah, it was also saying that Eric Ten Hag is still in the job, but it looks like it's a matter of time before Ten Hag is sacked. Jadon Sancho initially felt he could outlast Ten Hag at the club, which is why Jadon Sancho went on strike. So interesting comments were also made there. It just seems, to be honest, that if Ineos were here, maybe Ten Hag would be sacked. Ineos' original plan was to give Ten Hag to the end of the season, but with recent results and recent performances not convincing, there's a feeling that Ten Hag will be sacked as soon as Ineos' meeting goes down to ratify the deal, with Graham Potter lined up for the summer, with United looking to get an interim. Now, I'm going to be honest, Ten Hag to the end of the season or interim to the end of the season, give me Ten Hag to the end of the season. I don't want an interim. I can't be bothered for an interim. Give Ten Hag to the end of the season. Don't sack him and then get Potter. Just give Ten Hag to the end of the season, see if he turns it around, and then get who you want. Now, I'm not particularly big fan of the idea of us getting Graham Potter, but that seems to be what's being stuff. Potter was linked to Stoke this morning. I think if you're linked to Stoke and you're linked to Man United, I think you wait it out a bit longer as well. What about Michael Carrick? Well, he's losing with Middlesbrough. Look, I think Michael Carrick's a great guy and stuff, but if you're going to take anyone, it'll be McKenna from the Championship. Plays better football. Ipswich are doing better than Middlesbrough as well. You sat Ten Hag, who's coming in? Well, reportedly Potter will be. End of the season will determine. To be honest, I can't see Ten Hag here in a year's time, and I hate to be negative, but I can't. It does feel like inevitable that Ten Hag's going to be sacked, and I hate to say that. I hate to be negative, but from what we're all reading, all the news, all the information, all the sources of information we're reading, it's basically being said, yep, you know what, Ten Hag's going to be sacked come end of the season, bish bash bosh. That's what everything's saying as well. 108 likes, people. We've got over 450 people watching, so make sure you smash that like button. Of course, subscribe down below if you're new. I don't want Conte. I don't want Mourinho. I don't want Carrot. I don't want, to be honest, anyone. I'm not the biggest fan of Graham Potter coming in. I think he'll struggle under the pressure, but I think he's a decent coach there. But just, sacking Ten Hag, bringing in Potter, for me, you might as well give Ten Hag the time. If Pep Guardiola is sitting there saying, I want to join Man United, then you sack Ten Hag. If Pep Guardiola is saying, I want to join United, you sack Ten Hag. But other than that, keep him until the end of the season as well. People saying it's Ten Hag's fault he's failing. He brought Anthony and Mount. I get that, but no. Why is that Ten Hag's fault? He shouldn't be buying Anthony and Mount. We should be having competent people in recruitment, competent structure to know that we shouldn't be spending money on those kind of players that don't 100% fit us. It was said that it's very unlikely that Erik Ten Hag will be sacked after the Liverpool game, even if the result is awful. It seems that he will get time until the Ineos deal is ratified. No one at the club wants to sack Ten Hag because Patrick Stewart is interim CEO, and he does not want to sack anyone by being interim. He thinks it's smarter and better to wait for Ineos to decide, as he's only going to be interim for the coming month or two, which is fair enough. If you're only here for 2 months, why sack the manager when the long-term person is coming in soon? And there's reports coming out that the Man United squad feel that Rasmus Hojlund is not up to the standard and expectation to be Man United's number 9 leading the line. And now the media have gone on this big attack on Rasmus Hojlund. Massive attack on Rasmus Hojlund, which it's annoyed me because it's not Hojlund's fault. He's 20. He shouldn't be leading the line. And that's on the poor recruitment side to expect a 20-year-old to lead the line. He shouldn't, but he's a great player, Rasmus Hojlund. And if you don't think that, you haven't watched football. Potter, Alex says, Potter, no thanks, failed at smaller big club with bigger budget. And that's the thing. Chelsea, similar environment, bigger budget, smaller club, failed. That's the thing as well. Playing Mount and Onana when the priority was a proven goal scorer baffles me. To be honest, if I could go back to summer now, I'd have signed Harry Kane, I'd have signed Declan Rice, and I'd have signed Kim Min-jae. I would have gone boosh, and then I would have probably would have got rid of De Gea still, and I would have promoted, what do you call him? Who's the one we sold to Bayer Leverkusen? Kovar, which sounds crazy. We'd have Kovar, we'd have Dean Henderson, because I think we needed a more modern goalkeeper, but I would have brought in Kim Min-jae, I would have brought in Declan Rice, and I would have brought in Harry Kane if I could look at that now. That's me being realistic if I looked at our summer as well. Xabi Alonso would lift the squad immediately, but Xabi Alonso's got his eye on Real Madrid. Xabi Alonso's going to go to... Look, if Xabi Alonso's got Real Madrid, who's well run, with players like a Bellingham, Camavinga and Tchouaméni in the squad, asking him to replace Carlo Ancelotti, or he's got Manchester United with the Glazers, who have just finished about 9th this season, with players dropping leaks and players like McTominay in the squad. If you're Xabi Alonso and you've just done brilliant at Bayern Munich, and you know that every single Man United manager post Sir Alex Ferguson has failed, whereas Real Madrid have had lots of success with their managers, and you're looking at the stability of your career and future, Real Madrid is a bigger name than United. He's also Spanish, so he gets to go back home. Xabi Alonso's going to pick Real Madrid over United. That's just like what's going to happen right now. If Man United and Real Madrid both want the same player, unless Real Madrid say we're not going to give you game time because we've got too many good players, you're going to go to Real Madrid over United. It's Man United and Real Madrid are the two biggest clubs in the world, but one of those clubs has been winning Champions Leagues, has been winning league titles. The other one of those clubs is finish top 4, don't finish top 4, leaks, negative, toxic, ruin careers, ruin managers' careers. We've ruined careers. Erling Haaland could have joined Man United this summer and he'd probably have no more goals than Hojlund this season. Erling Haaland maybe would have 1 or 2 in the Premier League because there's 1 or 2 chances Hojlund, I think, could have maybe put away. Erling Haaland wouldn't be anywhere near the Golden Boot. Erling Haaland would be called Erling Flop if he was at United because he would have 2 goals all season. So why would these big names want to come to United when they just flop? Rice might have gone to United had we been serious about him because his first choice was Arsenal, but he did like the idea of United because his family sort of pushed him there. But he knew United didn't have some serious interest in him as well. 140 likes, guys, so do smash that like button as well. Xavi's also a former Liverpool player. Yeah, I think the chances of us getting Xabi Alonso are the chances of us getting Zinedine Zidane. Not going to happen. We're a dead team. We need to be rebuilt. 100% agree. Sack the players, sack the staff. Then you discuss sacking the manager as well. Then you discuss it. Imagine if we had Frankie de Jong, we'd probably make him rubbish, to be honest, as well. Spurs were not selling Kane to us. They would have sold Kane to us, but we'd have to pay at least 50 million more than Bayern Munich. Kane is so good, man. Kane is so good. Oh, yeah, annoys me. Eric Ten Hag has his faults without a doubt, but the biggest issue for me is the quality of the squad, regardless of what we spent. And I agree. I actually want to show you this, because let's be honest, when you actually looked at our squad yesterday, and I want to show you this because look, I don't think Eric Ten Hag's doing a good enough job. 100%. I don't think he needs to get better out of the players. But if you actually look at the quality in the team, it's not very good. So you've got here, like back five, I think is fine. Luke Shaw, Varane, obviously Varane and Maguire, and obviously Harry Maguire and Shaw got injured. But look, Delo's a fine right back. I don't know if he's a Champions League or title-winning right back, but he's a top 4 right back. But maybe he'll need to be replaced to hit that next level. Maguire's been solid. Varane's been solid. Shaw's been solid. Back five was fine. McTominay, not good enough. Amrabat, he's all right, but I think he's more of a squad player. Anthony is not good enough. Bruno Fernandes is being played out of position, so that's just pointless. Garnacho is 19. Hojlund is 20. You've got a 19-year-old winger that's going to be inconsistent and a 20-year-old striker that's going to be inconsistent, and Anthony that's not got a single goal in his last 30 games, okay, in attack. That is your front three. You've then got McTominay in midfield that ghosts, and then you look at the bench. Facundo Pellistri is 20, might not be good enough to cut it at United. Wan-Bissaka's a player that we've argued about selling every single summer and bringing in a right back. Good player, but is he a great player? No. Is he a player that you go, oh yeah, he's a Man United player? No. Johnny Evans is 36 and got relegated last season. Kobbie Mainoo, great player, but again, 18. Hannibal Mejbri, not good enough. He might be in the future, but he's not. He's not starting quality for a top Premier League club, and he's 20. That's not his fault. Bayindir is a goalkeeper. Reguilon is a Spurs reject. Heaton is a goalkeeper. Dan Gore has potential to be brilliant, but again, he's 18, not good enough right now. Joe Hugo, again, has potential, but he's 18, not good enough. Joe Hugo, Dan Gore, Tom Heaton, Reguilon, Bayindir, Hannibal Mejbri, Evans, Wan-Bissaka and Pellistri do not get into any top Premier League sides. Kobbie Mainoo would, but again, he'd be young, he'd be moulded in. Wan-Bissaka would maybe start for a few of the upper teams. On the bench, only Wan-Bissaka and Mainoo would get into a top 10 Premier League side. In the starting 11, again, I think in terms of a top Premier League side, Varane gets in, Shaw gets in, Bruno gets in. Garnacho and Hojlund would be used and featured, but yeah, if you actually look at the quality in the squad, it's not good enough. Thank you for reminding me that Liverpool's at the weekend. I am so excited as well. Player for player, hardly getting into any of into the top clubs right now. Player for player, our squad is dreadful. Like, let's be honest, our squad is dreadful. 156 likes, guys, so please do continue to hit that like button as well. And of course, subscribe down below if you're new. No way we would have got Kane. If we put the money in, we would have. He actually, because he waited 2 days to accept that Bayern offer to see if United came in because he wanted to stay in England and break the record. That's the fact with Kane. But the whole team are just bench players. Let's actually go and look at Manchester United's squad and let's do an overhaul. Let's be honest. What we're going to do is we're going to say bench player it can stay around for a season, can stay around for 5 seasons. So we're going to do this now. We're going to go through the squad, as you can see, and which one of these players are actually good enough. Bayindir is a bench player. Oh, look at this. Advertising your kits. Ooh, what a shock. Oh, let's advertise our kits to make money. No, I'm going through the squad. Bayindir, bench player. Tom Heaton, not good enough. Andre Onana, we're going to give him another year, might not be good enough. Lindelof, not good enough. Maguire can stay for another season, but he's not in the 5-year plan. Martinez is in the 5-year plan, that's one. Malassi is a bench player. Reguilon, not good enough. Varane could stay for the next year or so. He is good enough, but again, he's not in a 5-year plan. He's not in our future. Delo, he's okay, but is he good enough? I don't know. He could be involved in the next 1 or 2 years, but probably isn't good enough. Luke Shaw, he is good enough, but he's not got the availability. So right now, looking at defence, Martinez is good enough. Luke Shaw is, but hasn't got the availability. Wan-Bissaka's got the potential to stay for another 2 seasons and help, but he's not. Is he good enough for a title-winning side? Probably not. Johnny Evans' retirement. So you go through the defence and you think, well, Varane, Delo, Shaw and Wan-Bissaka and Maguire can all stay for the next season or 2. But in 5 years' time, the only player you look at thinking, who do you want here in 5 years' time, is probably Lisandro Martinez. when you go through the defence. It's probably Lisandro Martinez. You go to midfield, Amrabat. I don't think he'll be staying past his loan. Mason Mount. I think there's a good player there. I'd like him to be given a season or two, but I don't know if he'll be good enough for the 5-year project. Bruno Fernandes, he's good enough. Eriksen will be out. Amad Diallo, we don't know if he's good enough. Casemiro, give him another year, but then he's gone. Facundo Pellistri probably won't be good enough. Donny van de Beek's not good enough. Maino probably will be good enough, but McTominay's not good enough, and Hannibal Mejbri will probably end up leaving and having a career for a mid-table Premier League side. You look at midfield, it's Bruno, it's Maino, and then there's a few question marks around people like Mason Mount and Amad Diallo. So far in the midfield and in defence, Kobbie Mainoo, Bruno Fernandes and Lisandro Martinez are the only players you see in this 5-year United project. And Bruno Fernandes will be ageing. In the attack, Martial needs to go. Rashford needs to sort himself out. I like Rashford. I think he is good enough. But he's too inconsistent. He needs to sort himself out. Because if I tell you what, if he doesn't sort himself out, he needs to go. Hojlund, I believe that he's good enough. Garnacho, I believe that he's good enough. Anthony off. Sancho off. Shaqiri off. Greenwood doesn't matter. So we're looking at potentially Garnacho, Hojlund, Mainoo, Bruno, that's 4, and Martinez, 5 in our long-term future. 5 current players. The quality of the squad is not good enough at United. It is pretty shambolic when you think about it as well. Rashford not good enough. Rashford is good enough, but he's good enough for 4 months, and then he's a League 2 player for 4 months. That's the problem with Rashford. He'll be good enough for 4 months, and then he gives up, and it's just like, oh, can't be bothered. Can't be bothered. Man United want to make a decision on a manager before the January transfer window opens. As a story coming out. Now, this is an interesting story coming out. Let me close that. There's an interesting story that's just broken now. Then I want to get this up here because this contradicts what I've been told and contradicts the information I've been relayed. But reports are coming out now that United want to decide on a new manager before January. I've been told that it doesn't matter what happens in the next month or two. Ten Hag will probably be sacked once the Ineos deal was ratified, which won't be until after the January window. So interesting to see. But some reports are saying that actually United might sack. This is the thing. There's very contradicting reports. Some reports are coming out and saying, look, United are going to sack Ten Hag. Some reports are coming out saying, look, United are going to sack Ten Hag. They're going to sack him before the January window because they want to actually have a new manager in by January, so they know what they're going to do. Some reports indicate a sacking of Ten Hag is likely. Some reports are saying, you know what, United aren't going to sack Ten Hag no matter what happens at Anfield because they're going to give him to the end of the season and wait for Ineos. I assume that nothing will be done till the Ineos deal is ratified, but some people say it doesn't matter if we get battered at Anfield, they will sack Ten Hag. So there's very, very mixed reports on what Manchester United are going to do with Ten Hag, to be honest. Very, very mixed reports, which I'm not a big fan of a lot of them, in all honesty, as well. People said fake news, Ten Hag's going nowhere. That's what I've been hearing. What I've been hearing is nothing happens until the Ineos meeting is done as well. Hojlund ain't it, Alice, he'll be Lukaku 2.0. Hojlund's got it. Hojlund's got it. A lot of people saying Hojlund's not it. Look, Hojlund's got no service. For me, Hojlund has it. He has the potential. He has the ability, but he's playing in this crap side that give him no potential. And I saw this here. I want to share this with you guys. I saw this here. If you don't rate Rasmus Hojlund, you haven't got a clue about football. His athleticism to run in behind, hold up play, and play with his back to goal and create separation and act as an outlet is brilliant, okay? Which is true. He also has the technique to strike the ball through, create a yard for himself and link play, and play final balls to runners from deep, which is what Harry Kane can do. When he drops into the 10-type areas, he can create spaces for others. He also has the potential discipline to excel as a 9 as he sticks centrally and has a top mentality and works his socks off and is hell-bent on scoring goals. That is complete as they come, complete specialist. Yeah, absolute spawn. He's got everything. He's just not got the service. He makes the runs. No one finds him. No one gives him the ball. That's the thing as well. He's incredibly raw, but he's got all the tools to become a top striker. And I tweeted this earlier, if I can find my Twitter. I tweeted this earlier here. I said, look, 20-year-old Rasmus Hojlund becoming the new scapegoat as expected, but put Haaland in the United side, at most he has 2 PL goals. And people say, oh, but Hojlund's missed 7 big chances. 7 big chances he's missed. Right, let's actually look at them. 2 of them, you would argue he should maybe score from. So for me, okay, maybe 2 of them he could maybe score from. That's why I said Haaland would probably have 2 PL goals if he played for United. But actually, 7 big chances made in 12 games. You're telling me that Hojlund gets 0.6 big chances creating per game. You're telling me that Man United create 0.6 big chances for their striker per game. When Man City create two big chances for their striker per game, Man United creating 0.6 big chances for their striker per game. You've got to look at that and go, well, actually, yes, he's had big chances, but actually, if you break that down per game, he's not. It's hard to score when no one passes. Haaland would not score for United either. Yeah, maybe at most he'd have 2 Premier League goals and 5 Champions League goals. Maybe he'd have 2 more goals than Hojlund this season if we had Haaland. Maybe Haaland would have 2 more goals than Hojlund. But as said, it's virtually impossible. If you play for United, you are in this graveyard shift. You are hung out to dry. I have so much sympathy for Rasmus Hojlund because what we're asking him to do is ridiculous. 187 likes, guys, 600 people watching, so please do hit that like button if you have not already. Hojlund is 100% being scapegoated, 100% as well. Steve says to me, I don't see Ten Hag getting sacked till May. Could go before, but won't be before January. I agree. I think the news that he's getting sacked before the January window and will be sacked after Liverpool is fake, because from what I've been told and what we've heard from the Athletic and people is that they're not interested in sacking the manager until Ineos is ratified. But obviously, Graham Potter is someone that's really being looked up as well. Hojlund will be a 20-goal a season striker. So put Hojlund in the Man City side. He probably has 10 Premier League goals this season. Generally. Yeah. Not every player is Haaland or Mbappe. Hojlund needs time. Exactly. And even if they were Haaland and Mbappe, they'd be better, but they wouldn't have crazy amounts of goals. Like, our attack isn't good enough. The quality in our attack is not good enough. 100%. And Ten Hag needs to get more out of the attackers. He needs to coach the attackers better because the all-round movement to find the attackers is poor. But I have to say, what was I going to say? Don't know what I was going to say. Oh, I have to say the quality of the United attack is poor, but the way we play doesn't help them. Yes, we need more attackers. Yes, we need more players. Yes, we need better quality in attack. And yes, Ten Hag needs to coach your attackers more. But the way we play, doesn't matter who you are in the graveyard shift at United. You are 100% in the graveyard shift at United. And the problem is, instead of getting rid of players like McTominay and players like Lindelof, who aren't good enough for United, they'll be focused on the removal of Varane and Casemiro. Which, long term is fine. Varane and Casemiro will have to go in the next 2 years because of their wages and because of their age and inconsistencies. But don't make Varane and Casemiro your priority midfielder and defender to sell over McTominay and Lindelof. Varane and Casemiro are Man United quality. It's just that they are obviously slowly dropping off due to age. McTominay and Lindelof are not good enough for United and will hold back the side. That's the thing. Manchester United's Champions League exit has cost them £30 million because it's a whole European exit. And that has piled pressure on Erik Ten Hag. Reportedly, the Glazers are seething. Best thing about being knocked out of the Champions League is it pisses off the Glazers. The Glazers are seething as Manchester United will lose over £30 million as a result of their Champions League exit, which has made the Glazers more open to sacking Ten Hag. That's the best thing. It just winds up the Glazers. Man United's a joke. We'll sell our best players. Yeah. Has Ronaldo and David De Gea leaving helped fans have stopped turning on our best players? Yeah. Do you know what's mad? I think that maybe Ronaldo needed to go because of the whole fallout with Ten Hag. I think De Gea needed to go long term. But there's this thing of Ronaldo, De Gea, Varane and Casemiro need to go because a lot of fans think they're holding us back. But actually, they were all good players for us. Yeah, McTominay needs to go. Lindelof needs to go. They're players holding us back. So we could say Varane, David De Gea, Casemiro and Ronaldo need to go, and maybe they do. But so does Lindelof. So does Maguire. But for some reason, everyone's focused on those big players. No, those players need to go. Those big name players need to go. And I'm not saying they don't need to go. I'm saying maybe Varane and Casemiro will need to go. But they shouldn't be going before the likes of Lindelof and the likes of McTominay and the likes of Donny van der Beek and the likes of Anthony Martial, because Varane and Casemiro, they're going to be inconsistent. They're aging. They're dropping off. They've got big wages. But they're good enough. McTominay isn't. Lindelof isn't. Anthony probably isn't. Martial isn't. Donny van der Beek isn't. They need to be the players that are going. The ones that are not good enough need to go first. And then your high-wage, big-name players like Casemiro's, Varane's, they'll need to go second because they're aging. That's what you need to do. Even before the Ronaldo interview, half the fan base blamed him for everything, yet he just scored 18 goals on one side. Yeah. Look, I think maybe Ronaldo, in the sense of the type of player he was, maybe it held back the team in a small sense of it was hard to kind of link up with him, and we changed the way we played to suit Ronaldo, and he's a 37-year-old, and maybe we shouldn't have done that. But 100% agree with Alex. The guy scored 17 goals or 18 goals, would have scored 20 if he had penalties, in the worst United side in history in the Premier League. But he was at fault. He was the problem. I mean, look, maybe long term we didn't need Ronaldo because he was old and he was holding us back. But we needed to get rid of the midfield and the defence before we needed to get rid of Ronaldo, but we didn't do that. And Ronaldo got the blame, De Gea got the blame, they've gone, we're still crap. It's very easy for United to blame the big players because the media paint out it's the big players' fault, and Man United want the fans to blame the big players because then they've got an excuse to get them off the wage bill. But actually, it's the same. It's the Lindelofs. It's the McTominays that aren't good enough for this club. The big players, sometimes they've held us back long-term stylistic style of play. But we've got a lot of players here that aren't good enough to play for this club. The big players are good enough to play for this club, but maybe don't suit the future direction of the club. It's the small players. 227 likes. People said, please smash the like button. Casemiro and Varane getting the blame now is baffling, especially because none of them played the last 6 weeks and we're still crap. It's crazy. It's not going to make a difference. People wanted Casemiro gone, and we haven't had Casemiro for 2 months. We've still been absolutely dreadful. I think Casemiro had a poor season, but I think the way we set up was hanging Casemiro out to dry completely. It really was as well. All this negative press about United as a City fan, if this was anything about us before a game versus Liverpool, we'd brush it under the rug. Maybe you should do the same. I think United need to do the same. I think this is a good comment here. But the thing is, the press feed off negativity. City aren't as big as United, and negativity around Man City, no one really cares. It gets brushed under the rug. At United, you write a negative article about United, you write something about leaks here, leaks there, you write this source about United, gets clicks, views. Journalists make a living off just writing negative reports of United because of the amount of clicks, views and interactions it gets. The problem is negativity around United feasts in the media. So when there's a chance to be negative, they love it. And they admit that. They said to Ten Hag, we like it when you're in crisis. They love every opportunity to go in on United as well. So yeah, it's I've had enough of it. I really have had enough of it, to be honest with you. I'm just fed up. I'm just absolutely fed up. The media is negative. Ten Hag will have more pressure than any other manager because Arteta can come 8th and 5th, and Klopp can come 8th, 4th and 4th. Ten Hag's not allowed to finish 6th. He should be sacked. But I think, look, I get why people want Ten Hag sacked because the style of play is dreadful. We were crap versus Bayern Munich. We had one shot in 94 minutes. It was not good enough. It 100% was not good enough. But we've got Liverpool up next, and all there is going to be negativity. This player's falling out with this player. This player's not good enough. At the end of the day, our squad isn't good enough. We don't have a very good squad. The recruitment has been a disgrace. The recruitment needs to improve. The players need to be sold, replaced, and improved. The manager might need to be sold, replaced, and improved, or he at least needs to change things to look convincing. This is how I see it, and this is what I'm going to say. Give Ten Hag to the end of the season, because if you're sacking Ten Hag, you've just got an interim. I don't want an interim. Give Ten Hag till the end of the season, okay? Do that. But we've got to see if he shows improvement. Does he adapt? Does he keep doing the same mistakes that keep losing us games? By the end of the season, are we seeing any adaptation or any idea of what Ten Hag's trying to do? If yes, and it's working, you keep the guy. If no, he goes in the summer with the bad players, with Arnold and Murta. Arnold's gone. The most important thing that Man United need to do, Lindelof, you're not good enough. McTominay, you're not good enough. Martial, you're not good enough. Anthony, you're not good enough. Donny van der Beek, you're not good enough. You're not going to play. You're going to be sold. Then you look at the big name players. Then you see if there's kind of big offers coming in from Saudi, if there's good options to replace them. If a big offer comes in for Casemiro and there's a good player lined up that Ten Hag's like, yeah, I want this guy to replace Casemiro, then you look at selling Casemiro. Then you maybe look at selling Varane if you've got your Todibo lined up to replace Varane. Then you look at it. And then once you've done that, you look at how much money you've made through sales, who you've brought. Have you brought your 2 centre-backs? Have you brought that number 6 that we need? Have you brought that right winger to replace Anthony? Have we got that other striker to replace Hojlund? Once we've brought that, we then look at, is there money there for a right back? Could we put one of Dalot or Wan-Bissaka up for sale? Could Frimpong be available? Then you look at it. What we need to do is first, instead of getting rid of Varane and Casemiro because they're the new scapegoats, let's get rid of the players that actually aren't good enough for United. Varane and Casemiro aren't in the long-term plan because of their age, but let's get rid of players that aren't good enough for United. McTominay, Lindelof, Donny, Martial, Anthony need to go. Put Pelistri in there if you want. Put a few other players in there if you want. They can go. Then you look at the big name players. And then next summer, you go, Maguire, you've been great for us the last 2 years, but we've gone as far as we can go with you. You're off. We want to go up to that next level. You look at the Maguires, you look at the Delos. So this summer, you look at the McTominays, the Lindelofs, the Donnies, the Martials, the players you know is not good enough. And then you maybe consider selling one of the big players if you get a good offer and you've got a good replacement available. The next summer, you look at selling the Delos, the Maguires, the players that can do a job for the next year, can put in certain levels, Anana, Delo, Maguire, but might not be good enough for the long-term project. Get rid of the players that aren't good enough for the short-term project, then get rid of players that aren't good enough for the long-term project. Long-term project, Varane and Casemiro are good enough, but they're not good enough for the long-term project because of their age. Maguire's all right, but he's not good enough for the long-term project. Delo's all right, he's not good enough for the long-term project. Lindelof, McTominay, Martial, Donny, Anthony, not good enough for the short-term project. Let's get rid of those players first. That's how I feel with all of that as well. My live chat is completely disappeared. There it is. It's back now. It just completely disappeared. So do hit the like button, guys. Of course, subscribe down below as well. Ryan Casemiro will help new players coming in with their experience exactly as well. Going to get stuffed at Anfield. Guys, what's your prediction for Anfield? Because I can't lie to you. I'm absolutely bricking it. I wouldn't lie if I was saying I was absolutely bricking Anfield as well. Someone said Rashford's first on my list to go. Unprofessional. Rashford, this is the thing. I want the players that aren't good enough for United to go first. And then you look at players like Rashford where their form has not been the best. But I want the players that actually aren't good enough to go first because we have this thing. Sell Ronaldo, sell De Gea, sell Casemiro, sell Varane, sell Luke Shaw, sell Bruno, sell Rashford. They're who the fans want sold. But they're players that we know actually good players, but they can be iffy at times. Lindelof isn't a good player. McTominay isn't a good player. Donny isn't a good player. Martial isn't a good player. Anthony isn't a good player. Get rid of the players that aren't a good player before saying sell Bruno, sell Rashford, sell Shaw. That's the problem. They want Ronaldo gone. They want De Gea gone. They want Casemiro gone. They want Varane gone. They want Bruno gone. They want Rashford gone. They want Shaw gone. Maybe they'll have to go some of those players. But get rid of the players that actually aren't good enough first and then just get rid of the underperformers next. The players that we know are good enough but are underperforming next if they continue to underperform. 5-0, 9-1. I've gone 3-0 Liverpool, to be honest. I think Liverpool will win 3-1, 3-1, 6-0. Is anyone predicting a Man United win 3-0? Someone's 1-0 United! Yeah, one person. What will it take for Tenor to get sacked? Basically, from what I'm hearing, he won't be sacked until Ineos is ratified. But some people are saying they'll sack him after Liverpool because they want to do stuff in January. I don't know. 8-0, 4-1, 3-3 would be a good game. I'd take a draw at Anfield. I really would. Anyway, people, I'm going to wrap up today's live stream. Please do hit that like button if you haven't already. Of course, subscribe down below if you're new. I will be back tonight with either a live stream or video, depending on the news. This is more of a chit-chat show. I think my live stream or video tonight will be more news-based. So live streams, we normally just chat United. We interact in the chat. We get involved. Live streams, more chit-chat. And then my short videos at 10 minutes is more just dive into the news, the information, transfer takeover. Thank you for watching. See you next time. Bye.